$1,000 just hit your account, and in the next 7 days, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to make it disappear the way 90% of people do, or you're going to turn it into the first move of a system that wealthy people have used for generations. There is no third option. The money is already deciding your future, whether you're paying attention or not. Here's the misconception that trips almost everyone up. People think rich people got rich by making one brilliant decision. That's the story we tell ourselves because it's exciting, but actually it's also completely wrong. The truth is less thrilling and far more useful. Wealthy people don't win with one big move. They win with a system. And that system works exactly the same whether the number in front of you has 9 zeros or just 3. So let's break the system down. Step 1. Before you spend a single dollar, you wait. This is the cooling off period, but think of it simply as a buffer, a wall of time between the moment money arrives and the moment you act on it. Why does this matter so much? Because your brain right now is flooded with dopamine, the chemical that makes new money feel like a green light to spend. That chemical rush fades in about a week. What's left after it fades is your actual judgment. The pause isn't hesitation, because it is actually protecting you. Step 2. This is where the real transformation happens, and it's the exact move billionaires make the second a windfall lands, just scaled down to your size. You don't let $1,000 sit as one blob with no job to do. Break it into pieces, and each piece gets a mission. One chunk kills debt, the other chunk builds a cushion, and the last chunk grows for the future. A small chunk, and I mean small, gets spent guilt-free. Let's go piece by piece because this is where most people get it wrong. Your first target is debt, specifically the expensive kind. If you're carrying a credit card balance charging 20% interest, that debt is a leak, and it's bleeding you faster than almost anything you could invest in. Here's the blunt math. Money sitting in savings might earn you 5% a year, but debt at 20% is costing you 4 times that, and paying it down is actually the highest return you will find anywhere, guaranteed and immediately. Wealthy people use debt as a weapon when it works in their favor. When it doesn't, they eliminate it fast. Same rule, same logic, just on a smaller battlefield. The second target is the floor. This is your emergency cushion, and every fortune on earth, big or small, is built on top of one. Billionaires call it a safety floor, a portion of money kept boring, liquid, and completely untouched, except for real emergencies. For you, that's a few $100s parked somewhere slightly annoying to reach, so it's not one tap away from becoming sneakers. The floor isn't there to grow. It's there so that when your car breaks down or your hours get cut, you don't panic. And you don't go into debt to survive. When there's no floor, there's no stability, and everything else you build sits on top of this. Your third target is growth. This is what separates people who stay flat for decades from people who don't. A portion of that $1,000, even just $200 or $300, goes into an investment that grows over time. The simplest version is called an index fund, a single investment that spreads your money across hundreds of companies at once. And here's how you're going to do it. Open either a Roth IRA for tax-free retirement savings or a taxable brokerage account for short-term flexibility using a major platform like Fidelity, Vanguard, or Charles Schwab. Next, link your checking account, transfer any starting cash, and search for a broad S&P 500 fund using ticker symbols like VOO or FXAIX. Finally, place a market order for your desired dollar amount and set up automatic monthly transfers to consistently buy more for at least 5 to 10 years to let your wealth grow. Here's the mechanism wealthy people obsess over more than any other single idea: compounding. Compounding means your growth starts generating its own growth. Money makes money, and then that money makes more money. $300 invested and left alone for 30 years, growing at a typical long-term rate, can multiply roughly tenfold without you lifting a finger after the initial deposit. That's not a fantasy, because it's actually real math verified across nearly a century of stock market data. Time is the ingredient, and it's what turns small numbers into serious ones. Fourth target, joy. $50 to $100 that you're fully allowed to use with zero guilt attached. Why include this at all? Because plans that demand total sacrifice collapse. People rebel against pure restriction, and they rebel by blowing everything at once or later out of frustration. A small but deliberate guilt-free spend is what keeps the system alive. Now here's where it all shifts, because handling $1,000 well is just the training round. Step 3. The repeat. This is the part almost nobody talks about. And it's the actual secret behind long-term wealth. It's whether the system runs again the next time money shows up. Set up automatic transfers, even $20 or $30 a paycheck, moving straight into savings and investments before that money ever reaches your checking account. To do this, you first need to open a high-yield savings account like Capital One 360, Discover Bank, or Marcus by Goldman Sachs for emergency cash, and open a brokerage account like Fidelity for long-term index fund investing. This recreates something wealthy families live by. Pay yourself first, not what's left over after spending. And watch out for the silent killer of financial progress, lifestyle creep. This is what happens when your spending quietly rises every single time your income rises. So money arrives, and 6 months later, you're somehow no further ahead than before. You get a bigger apartment, pricier takeout, a nicer car payment. The income grew, but guess what? Your progress didn't. Wealthy people fight this instinct on purpose by keeping their spending steady while their wealth climbs. You can fight the exact same instinct at the exact same moment you have money in your account. Resist first and upgrade later. One more piece the wealthy like Elon Musk and Warren Buffett never skip. It's not exciting, but it's also non-negotiable. And it's protection. A single bad event like an accident, a medical bill, or a lawsuit can wipe out years of progress on a random Tuesday afternoon if you're not covered. For an average person, it means the basics. Never keep your emergency savings in your everyday checking account because you will accidentally spend it on groceries, clothes, or weekend trips. Open a completely separate high-yield savings account at a digital bank. Those accounts are completely free, entirely safe, and pay you decent interest just to let your money sit there. Create strict rules for what actually counts as a crisis. A true emergency must be unexpected, absolutely necessary, and completely urgent. A last-minute vacation opportunity, a flash sale on electronics, or a friend's birthday gift are not emergencies. And finally, check in. And I mean not in a obsessively checking daily and panicking over every fluctuation way, but just once a month for 15 minutes to look at what's growing, what's been spent, and what needs adjusting. Billionaires review their entire financial structure on a schedule because that's how small problems get caught before they become big ones. So here's the full sequence stitched together. Pause, so emotion doesn't make the decision for you. Split, so every dollar has a job. To kill debt, to build the floor, to feed growth, and to allow joy.